2 days after the Events and Guide Ahead event. Lemuel works in Lateran Church and is now Mostima and Fiammetta's superior. As Fiammetta's boss, Lemuel gets to decide what codename she will use. And this time, her codename is Dawn Destroyer. We then see Mostima and Fia in a balloon shooting game stall with some kids. Mostima easily shoots a bunch of targets, and the kids are amazed. After some persuasion, Fiammetta agrees to take part and win the grand prize, which is an all-you-can-eat coupon. Works at all the dessert shops in Laterano. After teasing her with her codename some more, Mostima asks how it feels for Fia to come back to Laterano after a long time. She said it's not bad. And said who doesn't like Laterano, the place is a paradise. Although there's a restriction for an infected and a fallen angel. And Laterano is pretty much hell for someone who has a sugar sensitivity. Although Mostima didn't explicitly say it. But unlike her, Fiammetta has a choice to stay in Laterano. And Mostima doesn't really want Fiammetta to accompany her forever. Especially if the reason is that Fia feels guilty about her fall. Mostima then said Fiammetta's teacher as well as her guardian is looking for her. Although Fia doesn't want to meet him. But then Mostima slows her movement with her arts and then went adios. Just then, an apostolic knight named Patrician, who turns out to be Fiammetta's guardian, meets her. The sweet and cool old man then goes into a monastery with Fiammetta. It is revealed that Fiammetta's parents leave her in his care when she was 7. Patrician treats her like his own granddaughter and taught her everything about marksmanship and weaponry. As her teacher and guardian, Patrician tells Fia that the life she leads right now is pointless. Following Mostima will only waste her potential. Fia has the potential to become an executor, work in Lateran Church, or even becomes the first Liberi to be an apostolic knight. Besides it's Mostima, she can take care of her own. But perhaps when Mostima tries new clothes, she might need someone to help with the zippers on the back. Hearing that, Fia gets irritated. But she still refuses to stop following Mostima. At first, she followed Mostima because she feels guilty about her fall. And perhaps one day face Andoin who might take Mostima's staff. But after all those travels, she and Mostima have been to so many places and met so many people. She kinda likes it. And the long journey gives more meaning to her when goes back home to Laterano. Patrician is still persistent, and said he can simply order her to stay. But Fiammetta knew, her grandfather won't force her. Which is true, the old man feels bored and somewhat lonely. Because his friends are dying of old age, and his students are scattered all across the world. And his granddaughter isn't always here to do a movie marathon with him. But Patrician won't force Fiammetta to stay, if that is not something she wants. After that, they talk some more about blockbuster movies from Colombia. Before leaving, Fia promises to bring him a copy of a hit movie currently in the making. When she gets back to Laterano, probably next year. Then Fia leaves, and secretly puts the coupon she got earlier in Patrician's pocket. Unexpectedly, Mostima already left Laterano, and encounters some bandits. She went ahead because she believes Fia will stay with her grandpa for a few days. But just then Fiammetta comes in. And then both of them proceed to fight the bandits. Now for Myrrh, the 4-star medic operator accord. We get to know Myrrh's real name, Adelaide. In this story, Adelaide just becomes a rookie medic operator codename Myrrh. And meets with other Rhodes Island medical personnel who will work with her. Sashuro, Garville and Hibiscus. They are in Rhodes Island Ursus outpost, where they are taking care of some infected refugees. Most of the refugees' oropathy conditions gradually stabilized. But one patient named Mrs. Luber keeps refusing treatment. She's a superstitious one, believing all the supernatural thing. Her village shaman once told her she wouldn't live past 70. And she told Rhodes Island to stop wasting their time with her. Other medical personnel having a hard time treating her. But Myrrh, coming from a place where the people also believe in lots of superstition, wanted to take a look at Mrs. Luber, and perhaps she can help her. Then Myrrh goes to see Luba in her room. As expected, Luba is uncooperative with the medical personnel. But Myrrh assures her she's not here to give her medicine, or talk her out of her superstitions. Myrrh just wanted to talk and give the old woman her lucky charm that she received from her clan chief, that according to their beliefs will bring good luck. Luba is surprised that a young woman like Myrrh believes in this sort of thing. Luba talks about when she was young, a fortune teller told her she was fated for hardship. She didn't believe it back then, but now her life is full of it. Her village caught up in catastrophe, she becomes an infected. And she lost her only daughter in that catastrophe. Myrrh then holds Luba's hand, and wanted to hear more about her daughter. Sometime later, Myrrh meets with Luba outside of the outpost. They're getting along quite well. And Myrrh said Luba reminds her of her grandmother, who taught her about herbs, and how to use them for medicine. She said she misses her home very much. Grandma Luba also misses her home, but there's nothing left in her village, especially since she lost her daughter. Myrrh then tries to comfort her, saying that her clan folks believe the deceased will be back to their family, in many forms. Either in the form of beautiful stars in the sky, or soft and lovely grass under our feet. She also says her clan always does a guiding dance at funerals, so that those who are gone can find their way back, and reunite with their family. Luba then asks Myrrh to do the dance ceremony for her daughter Mika. Myrrh agrees, and although she can't do it perfectly, once Myrrh makes a perfect circle from her dance in the snow. Unknown whether the ceremony is really true or is just pure coincidence. Luba can feel a gentle breeze on her hair. She closed her eyes, and felt something warm fill her eyes and heart. One month later. Thanks to Myrrh, Luba doesn't refuse treatment anymore. And her symptoms are now under control, and will leave soon. After what Myrrh said to her, she wanted to keep on living and feels the presence of her daughter. Luba also asks whether Myrrh truly believes in what she said. Myrrh says she doesn't know. She then remembers, she once asked the same question to her best friend Harmonia, who is currently bedridden in Rhodes Island. In the past Myrrh asked Harmonia whether all the ceremony that the clan do to guide the dead is true. Harmonia said she doesn't know, but she hoped that is true. This world is full of hardship and troubles. Sometimes, people want to believe that something is real, even when they know it isn't. Back in the present time, Luba said she doesn't care whether it's true or not. Before leaving, she gave Myrrh a necklace that she got from her husband, saying it will bring good luck to the young medic. Now moving to Scavenger. I think this is also the first time we get to know Scavenger's real name, Hamlin. Quite fitting, I suppose. One day, Scavenger, who is still a mercenary, was hired by Rhodes Island to paralyze a certain factory and locate its foreman. The factory is believed to treat the infected worker very unethically, and even locked up its infected workers. So Rhodes Island wanted to evacuate them from there. The security of the factory is very tight, but Scavenger manages to get inside the facility through the sewer pipes. Along the way, she still can't believe a company like Rhodes Island willing to do something like this just to save other infected. Once inside, Scavenger unexpectedly meets someone who once screws her life. An infected guy named Tulio, who is working as a guard in the factory, approaches Scavenger, and also surprised to see her. We also know a little more about her background. Her backstory here is kinda incoherent for me, so take it with a grain of salt. We know from her profile that she got banished from her community or tribe because she got infected. Even though she got infected so that the community can survive. And we get to know a woman that Scavenger holds dearly still helps her even though she isn't infected, and taught her about the coin toss she always used to make a decision. As for Tulio once hired Scavenger as a merc, and she got attacked that almost took her life. Believing she cannot be saved, Tulio betrayed her and took her stuff away. Okay, back in the present time. Tulio convinces Scavenger he has turned a new leaf. He's also now an infected, and said how he could understand her now. Although Tulio is an overseer for the infected worker. But being an infected himself, he's also pretty much locked up here. So he decided to work with Scavenger to shut down the factory's security system. And gets out of this miserable place. Later, once the security system is down, Tulio betrayed Scavenger and attacks her behind her back. But Scavenger manages to retaliate and pin him down. Tulio revealed that he betrayed her because of their past. He thinks Scavenger will kill him later, so he decided to make the first move. Scavenger says she never said she will kill him, but now the probability is high. But first, she contacts Rhodes Island to rescue the infected workers. She also asks whether the guards who are also infected will be rescued. We don't know exactly what the Rhodes Islander said. But Scavenger got a leeway to do things with the guards. She said she will toss a coin. If it's tails, Tulio free trial of living will end. If it's heads she will let him off. Then Scavenger tosses a coin. And I think we all know which side of the coin appears. The last one on the list, we have Franka operator's record. Franka is seen sparring with Myrrh in the Rhodes Island training facility. And Franka easily beats Mel. Franka says Myrrh is too reliant on thrusting her sword to attack. This is because Myrrh's sword's technique is based on rapier. But Mel is using a long sword now, and she better uses slash as well. Mel then asks why Franka seems familiar with her sword's technique. Franka jokes that she used to be the greatest fencing teacher in Colombia. After that, they spar again, but this time Franka remembers something about her past. Training with someone she holds dearly. Due to this, Franka gets distracted and shows an opening. And Myrrh charges toward her and put her sword near Franka's neck. Franka congratulates Mel for winning, but said she still has a lot to learn. Franka then says she will leave Rhodes Island for some time. And encourage Mel to keep on her training. In the corridor, Luscam approaches Franka. She saw what happened. First she asks where Franka will go to. As her partner, Luscam doesn't know, so it must be unrelated to their job. She also asks why Franka looks distracted when Myrrh asked about the sword's technique. Franka just fools around and makes up the reasons. Luscam had enough, and said it's fine if it's something hard to talk about. 1 month later, we see Mel and Luscam in a dorm. Just when they start talking about Franka, Franka just got back from her trip. She takes Myrrh for training, in which Franka notices she's getting better. Franka then asks Myrrh, since she came from a well-off family, and her sword training was only for sport, but why started fighting now? Myrrh said after seeing what other Rhodes Islander do to save fellow infected, she feels the need to do something for others as well. So she decided to become an operator, and is currently the captain of a reserve team. She is glad she made this decision as she can meet new people and friends. And making herself sufficient, since she lost contact with her parents now. Suddenly, Luscam comes in and wanted to talk with Franka. Luscam finally knew that Franka took a month off, was to bury her mother. Franka didn't want to tell her about this because she doesn't like to be a putty. And she is more than ready to face her mother's passing alone. Franka also answers why she is familiar with Mel's sword's technique. Her style is basically what the Victorian upper class usually use for sport. And it is revealed Franka also came from an upper class family, but in Colombia. And also got this sword training. When she was 13, her hometown was struck by a catastrophe. Killing her father, and looks like the family's business as well. Then Franka's mother got sick from being overworked. So she decided to put her sword skills to good use, and becomes a mercenary. Then she meets Dr. Janet Longfellow, who is a high-ranking member of Black Steel. And Franka then becomes one of its members. Liscam feels sorry for Franka's lost. But Franka said it's okay, it's all in the past now. And one thing that Franka doesn't like is being stuck in the past. If Liscam really feels bad, Franka suggests treating her with a tea. And maybe persuade Hypergriff to give her a skin. Not long after, Liscam meets with Franka again. This time Liscam granting her a 3-month leave to clear her head. Liscam also remembers Franka's dream to travel the world. And maybe she can use it for a vacation to go visit other countries. Franka agrees, and asks how about Liscam come along with her. Well, those are really interesting story. We get to know more about the character's background and even real name. That should be all. Adios.